TCG AMC is launching a new fund, NDA 2.0 strategy, and this is based on NDA's second term and what kind of investing opportunities it offers for the next few years, mainly from the mid-sized universe. Particularly when Mr. Modi is targeting the $5 trillion economy. Chakri Lokapriya, the CIO of TCG AMC, chats with our colleague Ajaya Sharma on this new fund of theirs and tells us what it entails.
Hello and welcome. You're watching this special chat with Chakri Lokapriya of TCG AMC. TCG AMC is launching the new fund strategy, NDA 2.0, the new strategy, and he's right here with me, the CIO of the fund, to take this discussion forward. Chakri, thank you very much for your time. NDA 2.0 strategy in itself is a very interesting name to your new scheme. It is coinciding with NDA also coming into power for their second term in a much stronger mandate. Is it just a coincidence, or you deliberately put the name on this kind of order?
NDA stands for Nation Development Agenda. And so that's NDA 2.0 strategy for you. And the way we looked at it is, for any market, for any company, it's important to have a government support behind the policy initiatives. So we carefully looked at the various areas that the new government is focusing on, and we discovered that there are multiple areas of growth over the next 5 years. And keeping that in mind, we have designed NDA 2.0 strategy.
So the NDA 2.0 strategy with TCG AMC's scheme is focusing on. Talk to us the constituents, how this fund would be, the portfolio will be positioned, and what's the thinking behind designing such a strategy?
The thinking behind the strategy is, on one hand, if India, Modi 2.0 wants to make India a $5 trillion economy, and then the various policy initiatives in various sectors should, in essence, translate into revenues and orders and therefore earnings for companies. Then it becomes the goal of our fund to identify such companies which will benefit from these new policy initiatives and grow that kind of number over the next 5 years.
So talk to us how this particular scheme of fund or strategy will be different than the three other strategies which you're already running at TCG AMC in terms of kind of stocks which it will have, or maybe positioning in terms of market capitalization?
One, we've always looked at thematic funds. In terms of one of our previous funds was a fund which was focused on recapitalizing India in providing growth capital or turnaround capital. But again, that is past us. Now we are looking in an environment where cyclically things will turn up for India. And these are both large cap and mid cap, and the broader market will participate in this growth. If you look at the last 2 or 3 years, the index returns has largely been led by a handful of companies. But in this recovery going forward, we would see both large as well as the broader market participating in this growth. And we have designed that keeping in mind that new sectors will emerge, sunrise sectors will emerge, and they have found place in the portfolio.
So which are these areas where you expect the new government policy initiative and push to be so meaningful that it will lead to good earnings growth in that kind of companies? Also some of the new themes that you are looking at compared to how the current government's past 5 years track record has been?
The government's track record in the last 5 years has been very good in terms of, there have been some very big bang reforms, whether you look at NCLT or the introduction of the bankruptcy code or the GST. Now Modi 2.0 is likely to be a continuation of Modi 1.0, and the market always likes continuity because it provides clarity. So against this backdrop, you will see a lot of pickup, all these various initiatives bearing fruit. And this will give birth to a number of new sectors, and the government has focused on 12 new areas. And so the fund will focus on these 12 areas.
So which are those areas? You must have done a deep dive into the the manifesto which the government has come out with, and spoken to a host of other policy leaders, both in the politician side, people who are putting the strategy at the government level in execution. What's the feedback you've gathered?
Indeed, we've spent the last several months in looking at the election manifesto, as well as looking at it in the context of what policies have been done by the government, like the GST, and what will translate into actually policies that can be implemented and therefore turn into earnings for companies. And out of these 12 areas, for example, Yuva Bharat, for youth of India, what are the new kinds of products and services? Now, it's very likely that you will have a company like Paytm, which will go public in the very near future. So then you have woman empowerment, then you have Make in India, Digital India, and national defense, so which means the supplier companies, and a new policy for vehicles. So there are these are the areas which make it a very diversified portfolio without concentration in any one sector.
Chakri, how many stocks are you aiming to have in this portfolio? What kind of risk will this portfolio have? Will it be a high risk portfolio or a moderate risk portfolio? What kind of investors will this particular strategy of yours will be suitable for?
We aim to have between 30 to 40 companies, and this will be a moderate to high risk fund, simply because these are emerging companies in addition to existing companies, and so the risk will be fairly well diversified. And with India's goal to become a $5 trillion economy, we looked at companies which we can grow this 2.5 times from the current 2 trillion to reach that, to make that 5 trillion happen.
Right. So contributors to that kind of growth are the ones which you aim to have in this portfolio.
Indeed.
I'm sure you have already started doing roadshows, and you're already interacting with HNI investors for a dipstick. And what kind of response will you have when you actually launch your fund? What is the kind of feedback you gathered so far in terms of big investors are concerned? Are they still sitting on sidelines, or have they started doing their research and they are keen to look at interesting ideas such as this one?
Investors are very enthused and like it, simply because they understand, they recognize the work that we have put in talking to policymakers, we're talking to in various sections of the industry, trade bodies, in trying to understand, like CCI, what will work and what won't work. And the key message that they have liked is that, look, don't just assume that large cap companies are safe. If you look at Nifty in the last 4 or 5 years, 19 of the 50 companies in the Nifty no longer exist in the Nifty. They have been deleted. Companies like DLF, NMDC, Punjab National Bank, all market leaders, BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electricals, all these companies which are market leaders with competitive advantages have just gone out. On the other hand, new companies are coming in. So the key message is that there is a lot of return that is to be made by finding good companies with good governance which can benefit from the new policies.